Hello there! You know, after browsing several anime forums and websites like Reddit and Mal, I realized that some of the mecha recommendations there were not necessarily the best. I even saw a post of a person who wanted to see a mecha show that had magical girls, and someone decided to recommend them Darling in the Friends. You know, you could have just recommended, I don't know, Symphogear, for example. But I digress. I'm not gonna get mad at this because I decided to make a list that is better than all those out there. No, not really. There was a really good Reddit post about mecha recommendations, which I will link on the comment section below, or in the description box, better said. But let's keep this introduction short. This is must-see mecha shows, and this is one out of many that I'm working on. Hopefully, I'll release them in the future. With that being said, let's begin with Full Metal Panic. Panic is a story about Sagara Sosuke and Kaname Shidori. Kaname Shidori is one of the Whispereds. These are people who are able to utilize and create black technology. There's a little plot I'm not going to reveal because that would be a big spoiler. But it's a very sweet story about boy meets girl, Sagara Sosuke being the stoic, rather antisocial type character, and then you had Kaname Shidori, who is the opposite of that, which leads to some very funny hijinks between them and arguments. There's also Sagara Sosuke's partners, who are also part of Mithril, Cruz and Mao, and of course, the girl that also has the hots for him, Tisa Testarossa. So there's a little bit of a love triangle happening here, but it's not a big part of the plot at all. And once this guy shows up, the story narrative shifts into a more darker tone. The first season of Full Metal Panic is only 24 episodes. The second season, the second raid, it is 13 episodes plus an OVA. And finally, we have Invisible Victory, which is the one that was released on about 2 or 3 years ago, if memory serves correct, and that one is 12 episodes. There's also the little side comedy, Full Metal Panic Fumofu, totally worth checking out, and Fumofu happens between the first and second season. Next up, Macross Plus. It's a 4-episode OVA that is set 30 years after the original Macross, a series known in the West as Robotech, which Harmony Gold has done its best to butcher and ruin it for everyone else. Anyways, let's not focus on that. Macross Plus is a visual stunning anime from 1995 and was directed by the legendary Soji Kawamori and the future Cowboy Bebop creator Shinichiro Watanabe, and the musical arrangements composed by none other than Yoko Kanno. Now that's a dream team staff. So the story takes place in a not so distant future, the year 2040, where the galaxy is flourishing with several space colonies and advanced technologies. The AI, artificial intelligence, is near perfection, and the current top idol is the Virtuoid Shadow Apple. So you know, they were already dealing with VTubers back then. But here's the problem. Shadow Apple was missing one thing to be completely perfect, and those were emotions, which were supplied by Myeon Fang Long, who was a friend of the two protagonists, Isamu and Gold. Were best friends until an incident happened years prior, which forced them to go each separate ways. In which during this time, the fighter pilots Isamu and Gold were battling each other for air superiority for the project called Supernova. The story of the show explores the science fiction themes such as artificial intelligence versus real humans, its pros and its cons. And I gotta say that it's worth watching, especially since AI and virtual reality is such a big thing these days. It's good to see the perspective from the 90s, which shows how much of a visionary both Kawamori and Watanabe are. Plus the music is pure bangers, after all it's done by Yoko Kanno, of course. So definitely check it out. It's only 4 episodes OVA, and I honestly think you're not gonna regret it. And if you do, let me know in the comment box below. Next up is Get a Robo, but not just any Get a Robo, it is new Get a Robo. Now, let me tell you why I chose New Getter Robo instead of Shin Getter Robo Armageddon or Shin Getter Robo versus Neo Getter Robo. Because New Getter Robo is closer to the manga than all the other shows. Meaning you can watch this show without any prior knowledge to the Getter Robo franchise. So yes, this is newbie friendly. That's why I'm recommending it. The video that I'm gonna eventually make, I might as well just mention all the other Getter shows because they are must see. Especially if you are a big Gurren Lagann fan, you're going to love Getter Robo. So let's talk about the plot and why I'm recommending New Getter Robo, of course. So the Getter Robo is a reimagination of the original story. It begins with Dr. Saotome, who is seeking extraordinary men to pilot his greatest creation, the Getter Robo. Many who have tried to pilot it have either gone insane or died. His son, Tatsuhito, was piloting a Getter Robo in a battle, but he was seriously injured. He later finds 3 batshit crazy men to pilot Getter Robo. These are Ryoma Nagare, the main protagonist, Hayato Jin, and Benkei Musashibo. And in this story, they have to battle and destroy the evil forces of the Oni and other mysterious creatures that appear later on. Now, another reason why I'm recommending this is because it's kind of short. It's only like 13 episodes. It's short, straight to the point, and it has tons of action. The story is crazy over the top, as you would expect from a Getter Robo franchise. But there's still a lot of character development and character depth. The character of Ryoma is not a simple two-dimensional character. There's more depth to him. And the same can be said for everyone else who appears in the show, like Hayato Jin. He starts off as a revolutionary nationalist, but his character changes as the story progresses due to the situation that they're in. There's things that are greater and more important than committing terrorist attacks, because that's what he does. And Benkei Musashibo, he's a monk in this story, and he was a pacifist until he realizes there are far more important things to deal with, and pacifism is just not going to cut it. And the professor, Dr. Saotome, there's a lot of depth into his character and why he is the way that he is. And I'm going to admit here that the story is not necessarily the best written one, but it's still, the characters drive the narrative in a way that is actually engaging, and you can forgive some of the story elements are kind of sketchy, you know? And despite all that, still manages to deliver an enjoyable story. It's only 13 episodes, and it is available in several streaming services. Yeah, I can't just do a must-see Mecha Shows video without adding a Gundam, so I decided to add the best Gundam, Mobile Suit Gundam 0080 War in the Pocket. The story takes place during the final days of the original Gundam 1-year war, where Sion find out that there's a prototype Gundam being built and they have to rush and stop it from being completed. This series is also the first time that we get a female Gundam pilot. But in this one, the story focuses much more on the characters and the consequences of the war, and how miscommunication can lead to tragedy. How one boy, Al, is ridiculed for his beliefs in Sion. The story of how Bernard Wiseman, who starts to settle in to this colony but also knows he has to fulfill his mission. The characters move this story so well, we get to see glimpses of hope and peace, only to be shattered by the cruel reality of war. It's such a fantastic story, one I hold in high regards. In fact, I do say the Gundam 0080 War in the Pocket is, if not the best Gundam stories ever told. And not only that, the dub is fantastic. David Hayter, yes, the voice of Solid Snake, plays the role of Bernie Wiseman, and the legendary Wendy Lee plays the role of Christina McKenzie. Both of them give stunning performances. Yes, I'm definitely simping for this OVA. because of how well written it is, how well constructed. And if you're a Gundam fan, or you just recently got into Gundam, you have to watch this OVA, or you will be missing out. Of course, now we have another one that's a must-see, The Legend of Daikumaru Gaiking. The Legend of Daikumaru Gaiking is a 39-episode anime based on the original 1970s Gaiking anime. However, this is a brand new story, a reboot of the original. The story stays true to the traditional super robot tropes by the monsters of the week type of show. What makes this series stand out is the characters. Many of the story arcs revolve around the characters of the show, the bad guys not being really bad guys. To put it in comparison, right? It is like watching Naruto, but with a better story and animation overall. And far more likable characters that don't just die for the shock value, like Neji and Itachi, for example, and Jiraiya, or Pain. I can just keep going, right? So you're an anime fan that loves the following: insane power-ups like in Dragon Ball, non-stop action scenes, a boy meets girl love story, a badass big brother archetype, then The Legend of Gaiking is definitely for you. Plus, here's a big plus: the main protagonist is voiced by the legendary Mayumi Tanaka, who also voices Luffy from One Piece and Krillin from Dragon Ball. Actually, now that I think about it, Gaiking has a lot of resemblance to One Piece, and they're both good shows. So if you like One Piece, you're definitely gonna love this one. Alright guys, so that is the list. With that being said, guys, thank you for watching the video. Let me know what you think of the list on the comment section below. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all later.